At 2:58 a.m., Daniel's GPS rerouted him off the highway without warning. No crash ahead, no construction, no storm. Just a calm, robotic voice saying, "Turn right." He shouldn't have listened, but the fuel light was on, and the road behind him had been empty for an hour. When he took that exit, the street lights vanished, one by one, like something was turning the night off, and then he saw it. A rest stop with lights on, a parking lot full of cars, and a neon sign that read, "Welcome back." Daniel had never been there before, but the rest stop knew his name. Daniel Harrow didn't love traveling for work, but he loved what traveling allowed him to avoid. No long conversations, no weekend plans, no rooms full of people asking him what he wanted from life. Just highways, hotels, and the comfort of motion. Because when you're moving, you don't have to feel stuck. That night, he'd finished a late client visit and left the city after midnight. He wasn't trying to be reckless. He just wanted to get home before morning. His phone sat in a dashboard mount, GPS glowing. A thermos of coffee in the cup holder, the radio low. The world outside his windshield was a tunnel of darkness cut by his headlights. The highway was too empty. That kind of empty that makes you check your mirrors. Not because you expect someone there, but because the absence itself feels like pressure. At 2:40 a.m., his fuel light came on. He frowned. He could have sworn he had more than that. He tapped the gauge. Nothing changed. He checked his GPS, next gas station, 28 miles. He exhaled, annoyed, and kept driving. 20 minutes later, the GPS flickered. Just a brief stutter. Screen dim, then bright again, like it blinked. Daniel glanced at it and saw something that made his stomach tighten. For a split second, the map showed no roads at all, just black. Then the highway returned, the route line reappearing like nothing happened. He told himself it was bad signal, rural area, dead zone, normal, but his phone had full bars. Then the GPS voice spoke, even though he hadn't missed an exit. "Turn right." Daniel frowned. "What?" The route line on the screen shifted. It dragged off the highway, curving into a side road. He didn't touch it. He didn't ask for a reroute. The voice repeated, perfectly calm, "Turn right." He checked the fuel gauge again. Now the needle was lower, much lower than before. It wasn't possible. His heart rate climbed. A sign loomed ahead in the headlights. Rest stop, 1 mile. Daniel felt relief so sharp it was almost dizzying. He hadn't seen that on the route earlier. Still, he took the exit. It felt like the sensible choice. The moment his tires left the highway, the radio crackled and died. Not static, not fading, just silence, like someone cut the sound with scissors. His headlights swept over trees, dense, tall, too close to the road, and his GPS, without him touching it, switched to a new screen. A simple black background with white text. "Welcome back, Daniel." He stared. His hands tightened on the wheel. "That's not funny," he muttered, and realized immediately how stupid it sounded to talk to a phone. The GPS voice spoke again, softer. "You're almost there." The rest stop appeared suddenly, like it had been waiting just beyond the reach of his headlights. A wide parking lot, a small building with bright windows, a neon sign buzzing in pale green, and cars. Too many cars. Sedans, SUVs, a couple of trucks, parked in neat rows, as if the place was busy. But something was wrong with the cars. No one moved between them. No doors opened, no headlights. The lot looked full, yet lifeless. Daniel pulled in anyway, because the fuel light was still on, and the alternative was the darkness behind him. He parked under a flickering lamp, his engine idle. He sat there and stared at the building. The sign above the door read, "Graywick Rest Stop," and beneath it, in smaller letters, "Employees only beyond this point." Daniel didn't remember any rest stop named Graywick on this route. He got out, the cold air hitting his face like a slap. The parking lot smelled wrong. Not gas and oil and exhaust. It smelled like disinfectant, like a hospital hallway. He looked at the nearest car. Its windows were fogged from the inside, like someone had been breathing in there for a long time. He leaned closer and stopped. A handprint was pressed against the glass from the inside. Not fresh, not smeared, just perfectly placed, fingers spread, like someone had calmly chosen to touch the window and never moved again. Daniel stepped back, skin crawling. He looked around. More fogged windows, more handprints, no people. He turned toward the building quickly, like going inside would reset reality. The door chimed when he entered. Warm air, fluorescent lights, a vending machine humming. It looked like a normal rest stop interior. A few tables, a counter, a bathroom sign. But everything felt staged, too clean, too arranged. Behind the counter sat a man in a dark uniform, head slightly bowed as if he'd been asleep. Daniel cleared his throat. "Hey, do you have gas here?" The man didn't look up. He slowly raised his head. Daniel's stomach turned. The man's face was human, almost, but something about it didn't settle right in Daniel's brain. Like the features were arranged in the correct places, but not with the correct intent. The man smiled. "Of course," he said. His voice was too smooth, like it had never needed to breathe. Daniel nodded toward the lot. "Is it busy?" The man's eyes flicked to the window, then back. "Always," he said, with a faint hint of amusement. Daniel swallowed. "How do I?" The man raised one finger, interrupting. "Before you pump," he said gently, "you need to confirm your visit." Daniel blinked. "My visit?" The man pointed to a clipboard on the counter. Daniel stepped closer. On the clipboard was a form titled, "Graywick Rest Stop, Night Intake." He stared at it, confused. Night intake. Like it was a hospital. Like it was processing something. The form asked for name, time of arrival, reason for stop, whether the visitor was alone. Daniel's throat tightened. At the bottom, in small print, "By signing, you confirm you have returned willingly." Daniel looked up. The man's smile widened. "I've never been here," Daniel said. The man tilted his head in an imitation of concern. "Sure you have," he replied. "You just don't remember it yet." Daniel's phone buzzed in his pocket. He pulled it out. No signal. But the screen lit anyway. A single timestamp displayed in the center like a warning. 3:12 a.m. Daniel's breath caught. The rest stoplights flickered once. Like an eyelid closing, Daniel backed away from the counter. "I just need gas," he said. "I'll pay, cash, card, whatever." The man's eyes stayed fixed on him. "You're tired," he said softly. "You've been driving too long." Daniel's jaw clenched. "Yeah, and?" The man's expression didn't change, but his voice lowered. "People come here when they're tired," he said. "They come here when they're alone." Daniel turned toward the door and stopped. The door was still there, but outside the glass was not the parking lot. It was darkness, just black. No lamplight, no cars, no lot, like the world beyond the door had been erased. Daniel's pulse spiked. He tried the handle anyway. The door didn't budge. He stepped back, heart pounding. The man behind the counter watched him like he'd expected that. Daniel's eyes darted around. A hallway near the bathrooms. A sign above it. Employees only. The hall was dim, and it felt like the only direction that still belonged to reality. He went that way. He pushed through the door. The hallway beyond smelled like bleach and old metal. The fluorescent lights above buzzed. Some were dead. Halfway down, he saw something on the wall. A bulletin board with papers pinned in neat rows. Missing persons posters, dozens. All adult faces, different ages, different places, but each had the same red marker scrawl across the bottom. Last seen, Graywick Rest Stop. 3:12 a.m. Daniel's throat went dry. He scanned one, and his blood turned cold. A photo of himself stared back. Not recent. A little younger. Same eyes, same face. Text beneath it. Daniel Harrow, missing date. 2 years ago. Daniel stumbled back, knocking into the wall. That's not. He heard footsteps behind him. Slow, careful. A second set, then a third. Daniel turned. 3 people stood at the far end of the hallway, all wearing the same dark uniform as the man at the counter. All shaped like humans, all moving slightly wrong, like puppets learning how joints worked. And when the nearest one lifted its head and spoke, it used Daniel's voice. "I just need gas," it said, perfectly mimicking him. Daniel's mind tried to assemble logic and failed. He ran. He sprinted toward the bathrooms, shoved open the door marked men, and slammed it behind him. The room was clean, bright, silent. He pulled out his phone again. Still no signal. Still 3:12 a.m. The time didn't change. He stared at it, shaking. Then the bathroom lights flickered, and in the mirror above the sinks, Daniel saw something that made him go still. He wasn't alone. A figure stood, not a shadow, not a reflection glitch. A person, almost. Same height, same posture, and its face was trying to be Daniel's. It smiled too wide. Daniel spun. He turned back to the mirror. The figure was closer now, as if the glass was a window and it had taken a step forward from the other side. Daniel backed up until the stall door pressed into his spine. Then the mirror, Daniel spoke. But the words came from outside the stall, from the bathroom air itself, like the building had learned how to talk. "You can leave," it said, "if you complete the rule." Daniel's throat tightened. "What rule?" The voice softened. "Someone has to stay," it whispered. "Someone has to go." Daniel's stomach dropped. "No," he said. "No, I'm not." The voice interrupted him, still calm. "You already did it once." The stall door rattled gently, not from hands, from something leaning on it. Daniel's mind flashed to something he didn't remember, and yet could almost taste. A night drive, a fuel light, a rest stop, a signature. He pressed his hands over his ears. The voice continued anyway, now using his exact tone, matching his fear perfectly. "You don't remember because remembering hurts," it said. "But you came back. You always come back." The bathroom lights flickered again. For a moment, Daniel saw the mirror. Daniel's eyes go black, as if the glass had filled with night. Then the mirror Daniel smiled kindly. "Pick," it whispered. A sound rose in the rest stop, like a crowd quietly inhaling. Not voices, not words, just breath. Daniel slowly unlocked the stall and stepped out, shaking. The bathroom was empty. The mirror showed only him now. He walked to the sinks, hands trembling, and stared into his own reflection. His face looked normal, tired, pale, human, but there was something on his wrist. He lifted his arm, a hospital-style wristband. He hadn't noticed it before. Printed in black letters. Harrow, Daniel time. 0312. Status, return. Daniel's breath stopped. He didn't remember getting that wristband. He didn't remember arriving. He didn't remember signing anything. And then the realization hit him so hard, it felt like being punched. The reason he couldn't remember this place was because he had remembered it before. And each time he came back, something took a little more. That was the rest stop's trick. It didn't trap strangers. It harvested repeat customers. Daniel stared into the mirror, horror rising like bile. His reflection blinked. Then it spoke, not from his mouth, from the glass. "You're not the original," it whispered. Daniel's knees went weak. The mirror reflection smiled, soft, sympathetic. "You're the one that got out," it said. "The one that learned how to drive, how to work, how to live like him." Daniel shook his head. "No." The mirror Daniel's smile faded. The voice became colder. "And now," it said, "you're back for maintenance." The lights went out. Not a power failure. A deliberate darkness that swallowed the bathroom in a single breath. In the pitch black, Daniel felt hands, not rough, not grabbing, guiding him gently, like a nurse escorting a patient. He heard his own voice outside, calm and professional. "Night intake," it said. "Return complete." The next morning, a man walked onto the highway from a rest stop that wasn't on any map. He looked like Daniel Harrow. He moved like Daniel Harrow. He even remembered Daniel's job, Daniel's passwords, Daniel's favorite coffee order. But something about him had changed. He didn't hum with the radio anymore. He didn't glance at the mirrors unless he had to. And when the fuel light came on, he didn't panic. He smiled, because he knew exactly where to go. And somewhere, deep in a corridor that smelled like disinfectant and old blood, a real Daniel sat behind a locked door, staring at a bulletin board full of faces. Waiting for the day, a tired driver walked in at 3:12 a.m. so the rest stop could teach them how to be human. Because in the midnight wound, some places don't scare you away. They make sure you come back.